Pilipinas! Welcome to Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Archie Rose, the TV Dad Yi, coming to you from Vancouver in the province of British Columbia, Canada, bringing you news and commentary from across the country. Here are some stories we'll cover today. Canada to be in the top 5 of list of countries to receive COVID-19 vaccine. Majority of Canadians to receive COVID-19 vaccine by fall. Ontario COVID-19 response is said to be slower and more reactive compared to other provinces. Underground fresh water discovered in Hawaii, raising hopes for other locations worldwide. Washington Zoo Panda is named Little Miracle. And we take a stroll down Chinatown in Victoria. We start another week. Good Monday morning. As you're grabbing a fresh cup of coffee, here is what the weather looks like in Manila. Time to get out the umbrellas. AccuWeather is forecasting a high of 23 degrees Celsius with rain. Now let's look at the weather across Canada. Our weather street scene comes from here in Vancouver. Thanks to Ian Suarez for this video. Let's go across the country starting from the west coast. Vancouver at 7 degrees. Edmonton cloudy at -7 degrees. Calgary cloudy at 2 degrees. Winnipeg cloudy at -6 degrees. Montreal, mostly cloudy at 7 degrees. Ottawa, partly sunny at 7 degrees. Toronto, mostly cloudy at 8 degrees. Halifax, mostly sunny at 6 degrees. St. John's, New Brunswick, mostly cloudy at 7 degrees. Now over to our top stories. Canada's Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Dominic LeBlanc, stated that Canada will certainly be in the top 5 of the list of countries that will receive a vaccine for COVID-19. To date, Canada has over 368,000 confirmed cases, over 12,000 deaths, and nearly 293,000 people have recovered. In a recent interview, the minister stated that, quote, "We as a government, as a national government, aggressively negotiated contracts with 7 major suppliers of potential vaccines. The 3 that appear the first to likely be approved for use are AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer." Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the plans in preparation for the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. Canada has put up a national operations center headed by the Public Health Agency of Canada and supported by the Canadian Armed Forces in rolling out the COVID-19 vaccine.
Canada is well prepared for large-scale rollouts of vaccines, but this will be the biggest immunization in the history of the country. We must reach everyone who wants a vaccine, no matter where they live. Right now, we're working closely with the provinces and territories as well as Indigenous communities to ensure readiness to receive and distribute these vaccines. To assist in this process, we are standing up a national operations centre through the Public Health Agency of Canada with the support of the Canadian Armed Forces to coordinate logistics and distribution of vaccines. Major General Danny Fortin will be heading up the logistics and operations within this centre. Major General Fortin is a seasoned officer, the Chief of Staff of Canadian Joint Operations Command, and served as commander of NATO mission in Iraq. The Canadian Armed Forces will assist on planning, including to meet challenges like cold storage requirements, data sharing, and reaching Indigenous and rural communities. For our part, the federal government has already purchased freezers to work for specific vaccine candidates. This will be a major effort, but together, Canada can and will do this. In our meeting, the Premier spoke about the need to work in partnership with the federal government. They also brought up the fact that in certain cases they will need support to ensure that everyone is reached, including vulnerable people and Indigenous people. When a vaccine is ready, Canada will be ready. We're in this together, and the more we work as a team, the better we'll do. So to everyone, to all Canadians, continue to wear a mask, keep your distance, and wash your hands. Avoid large gatherings.
Along with the announcement of Major General Danny Fortin leading the federal government's vaccine distribution team, the Prime Minister also discussed the approval process for the vaccine, as well as the timeline in getting Canadians vaccinated.
Rolling approvals of the 3 top vaccine candidates, including Pfizer. We are hopeful that things are going to happen quickly, but at the same time, we need to reassure Canadians, and we need to be able to say confidently that these vaccines are safe, which is why we're very interested in what people around the world are doing, but Canadian experts and Canadian scientists will be driving the safety of Canadians every step of the way. We have continued to work with the provinces on vaccine delivery and logistics since last spring. We've been engaged, understanding that a vaccine was the way we were going to get through this pandemic, and that's why from the beginning we signed one of the most diverse range of contracts of any country around the world for more doses per capita than any other country around the world. We are ensuring that Canadians will be protected and will be helped through this pandemic in the best possible way. We have a strong plan that works with the provinces, and we're going to continue to make sure that every step of the way we're there to deliver for Canadians. I can understand the eagerness with which people want to know, when is this going to be over? When are we going to get the vaccines? What we can say is we are working extremely hard to deliver as quickly and as safely as possible. And I know people are really eager to find out, when are we going to get to that starting line? When are we going to start giving people vaccines? And we're working as hard as we can to make that as quickly as possible. But at the same time, what really matters is when we get to cross the finish line. And the fact that the doctors highlighted that if all goes according to plan, we should be able to have the majority of Canadians vaccinated by next September puts us in very good stead. We're going to continue to do everything we can to deliver for Canadians, listening to experts, working with top people to make sure that we're doing this right and quickly and safely for all Canadians.
The Canadian Prime Minister says majority of Canadians will have the COVID-19 vaccinations by next fall. Here is Eagle News correspondent Thomas I. Likeness with the report.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is promising most Canadians can be immunized against COVID-19 by next September. Trudeau says the country will start receiving vaccine sometime in January, but then he says the real work begins.
Canada is well prepared for large-scale rollouts of vaccines, but this will be the biggest immunization in the history of the country. We must reach everyone who wants a vaccine, no matter where they live.
Ensuring the millions of doses of vaccine required to immunize everyone get distributed properly is a big job. And to achieve this, both the Public Health Agency of Canada and the military will be involved.
To assist in this process, we are standing up a National Operations Centre through the Public Health Agency of Canada with the support of the Canadian Armed Forces to coordinate logistics and distribution of vaccines.
This agency will be headed by Major General Danny Fortin. Trudeau spoke highly of Fortin's skills.
Major General Fortin is a seasoned officer, the Chief of Staff of Canadian Joint Operations Command, and served as commander of NATO mission in Iraq.
With the country facing a record number of new infections, Trudeau again reminded Canadians of the seriousness of the situation.
Vaccines are on the horizon. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. But we need to do what we can right now to make it through these coming months.
Much of the country is in various stages of lockdown. The December holiday season looks to be in jeopardy. Some provinces have banned all social gatherings. That means people can't have visitors in their homes. And there's concern about the healthcare system. Will it be able to handle the growing number of cases? Alberta Premier Jason Kenney minces no words when he says the increasing number of cases will push the healthcare system to its limits.
To be blunt, this will cost lives as well. Reducing life expectancy. We cannot let that happen.
But whether people follow the advice of politicians and health experts to limit their social contacts remains to be seen. COVID fatigue has set in across the country. As we battle this pandemic together, I wish you all good health. Remember to take care of others. Take care of yourselves. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned to Eagle News for accurate and balanced coverage of the COVID-19 pandemic and other current affairs. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
According to a special report by the Auditor General, Ontario's COVID-19 response faced systemic issues and delays. Eagle News correspondent April Masongsong reports.
Ontario's Auditor General Bonnie Lysyk released a special report and assessment of the province's COVID-19 response. The report concluded that Ontario's response was slower and more reactive compared to other provinces. According to the report, Ontario failed to apply the key lessons learned from the 2003 SARS outbreak. According to Lysyk, instead of carrying out informed actions early, systemic issues and delays in decision-making were found. The report also noted that Ontario's command structure ballooned from 21 to 500 members, thus creating communication issues and delayed decisions. In addition, the report also stated that the Public Health Ontario actually took a backseat role in making decisions, and the province's command structure was not led by public health experts. One of the most controversial parts of this report is that it pointed out that instead of the Ontario Chief Medical Officer Dr. David Williams making major decisions regarding Ontario's COVID-19 response, it has been the province or Premier Doug Ford making these decisions. In his press conference on Wednesday, Premier Ford pushed back and criticized the Auditor General and called the report 21 pages of inaccuracies. Take a look.
There's a big problem with an accountant that starts giving me health advice, or vice versa, or the doc's trying to give me economic advice. It doesn't work out well. So all I'm asking for the Auditor General, after 21 pages, I'm going to repeat this, 21 pages of inaccuracies throughout this report, for ever since day one, since I've been Premier, you've never, ever heard me criticize the Auditor General. Never. If there's financial issues, I'm here. I'll sit there and, I'll answer the questions day in, day out. But to sit in the office and throw hand grenades at Dr. Williams and his team and the Minister of Health is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Stick with looking for value for money. Stick with the job that we hired you for. Don't start pretending you're a doctor or a health professional, because I can tell you, you aren't. Stick with the numbers. Stick with the number crunching.
On Thursday, as she faces criticism from the Ford government, Auditor General Lysyk expressed to the media that she stands by the accuracy of her report. In Toronto, April Masongsong, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Still to come, underground freshwater discovered in Hawaii, raising hopes for other locations worldwide. Washington Zoo panda is named Little Miracle. And we take a stroll downtown Chinatown in Victoria. You're watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News Mornings from Canada. I'm Archie Rose, Natividad Yi from Vancouver, British Columbia. Twice as much fresh water is actually stored offshore of Hawaii's Big Island than previously thought, according to a University of Hawaii study with implications for volcanic islands around the world. Eagle News correspondent Charmaine Serrera of our Hawaii Bureau has more on this breakthrough discovery. In sports, the Toronto Raptors re-signed Fred VanVleet while the LA Clippers grabbed Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol. Eagle News correspondent Zurita Sessa tells us more.
With the new season of the NBA just around the corner, teams look to free agency to make the necessary changes to ensure that they were in the best position to compete. One team that has been on the hunt to do this are the Toronto Raptors. Given their second-round exit at the hands of the Boston Celtics, the Raptors knew that they were playing with borrowed time with the current roster and that change was inevitable. With their aging lineup, Toronto found themselves having to choose between one last shot at a ring or to focus on their future. The Raptors front office were very transparent with who they were going to prioritize this offseason, and the re-signing of Fred VanVleet just a day into free agency showed just that. The Raptors and VanVleet agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with a player option his last year. Last season, VanVleet averaged 17.6 points per game and 6.6 assists for the Raptors, continuing to show his value on the court. When asked what his mindset was going into free agency, VanVleet made it clear that his intentions were to come back, despite other teams pursuing him. But with the signing of a core piece for the Raptors' future, the organization suffered the loss of their two big men who were integral parts of their championship run. Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol now find themselves south of the border with new homes in Los Angeles. On the same day that VanVleet's return was reported, Ibaka's departure was revealed, signing a 2-year, $19 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And the woes continued for Raptor fans just 24 hours after the Ibaka news broke. It was reported by ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski and The Athletic's Shams Charania that Marc Gasol and the Lakers landed on a 2-year, $5.3 million deal. When asked why he made this move, Gasol said that it was a tough choice to make, but he knew that he could no longer be what the Raptors needed him to be. In his last season with the Raptors, Gasol averaged 7.5 points and 6.3 rebounds per game. But his performance during the second round of the playoffs made it clear that he and the Raptors were headed towards different directions in their style of play. Since then, the Raptors have been able to sign veteran centers like Aaron Baines from the Phoenix Suns and Alex Len from the Sacramento Kings. They were also able to extend homegrown talent Chris Boucher to a 2-year, $13.5 million deal, which further supports the argument that the Raptors are focused on their young core going forward. Though it'll be tough for Raptor fans to see their beloved 2019 championship team break up, this is the beginning of a new era of basketball for this organization. Reporting from Toronto, Canada, Zurita Sessa, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
The great Michael Jordan, owner of the Charlotte Hornets, chose point guard LaMelo Ball at last week's NBA draft and signed free agent Gordon Hayward to a 4-year, $120 million deal. Eagle News correspondent Tenny Sumagi files this report.
NBA draft. The Charlotte Hornets select LaMelo Ball.
From Chino Hills, California to Lithuania, back to the US and Ohio, then to Australia's NBL. LaMelo Ball's basketball journey will continue in the NBA as he was selected third to the Charlotte Hornets. The younger brother of Lonzo Ball is ready and excited to play in front of Hornets owner Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I've been seeing them ever since I was young, for real. Miles at Michigan State and stuff, and Huntington Beach and all that. And then PJ, I played him when he was at Finlay and stuff. It's going to be exciting. I mean, two high flyers can get out and go. And we got a young team. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like it's going to be nice.
Do you feel like this team really kind of fits your style of play of wanting to get up and down the court quite a bit?
Yeah, definitely. I love getting up and down. So if that's the play style, that definitely fits.
You'll be playing for Michael Jordan, who is obviously considered the GOAT, greatest of all time when it comes to the sport of basketball. Your immediate thoughts about playing for him as your owner?
Man, straight blessing, for real. I don't even have enough words to say. I mean, I'm just blessed right now, for real.
In other news, free agent forward Gordon Hayward signed a 4-year, $120 million deal with the Hornets. The former All-Star spent his first 7 years with the Utah Jazz and his last 3 years with the Boston Celtics. In New York, Tenny Sumagi, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Twice as much fresh water is actually stored offshore of Hawaii's Big Island than previously thought, according to University of Hawaii study with implications for volcanic islands around the world. Eagle News correspondent Charmaine Serrera of our Hawaii Bureau has more on this breakthrough discovery.
The groundbreaking findings, which was recently published in Science Advances, reveal a novel way in which substantial volumes of fresh water are being transported from onshore to offshore submarine aquifers along the coast of Big Island. Through the use of marine-controlled source electromagnetic imaging, the study revealed the onshore to offshore movement of fresh water through a multi-layer formation of basalts embedded between layers of ash and soil, diverging from previous groundwater models of this area. Offshore freshwater systems similar to those on the Big Island are suggested to be present on the island of Oahu, where the electromagnetic imaging technique has not yet been applied. But if demonstrated, it could provide an overall new concept to manage freshwater resources. The study proposes that this newly discovered transport mechanism may be the governing mechanism in other volcanic islands, with offshore reservoirs considered more resilient to climate change-driven droughts. Volcanic islands worldwide can potentially consider these resources in their water management strategies.
With this discovery, we found some evidence for similarities in other volcanic islands. It means that there is substantial volumes of fresh water that can be used as a new resource.
Reporting from the Big Island of Hawaii, this is Charmaine Serrera for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
That's our program for today. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Also, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Archie Rose, the TV Dad Yi. We live in interesting times. Stay tuned for Kid Cuento.